Good morning. How are you all today? Thank you for visiting with us and welcome to Bible Study with Andre and Betty. We're continuing our studies in the book of 2 Kings, and we're in chapter 7, and we will be looking at the subject economic recovery. This recovery had been prophesied by Elisha to the king of Israel in chapter 6, verse 25. And looking at that, and there, verse 25, and there was a great famine in Samaria, which is the capital city of the northern kingdom. And behold, they attacked it, the Syrians attacked it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. This was the inflation that happened as a result of the famine. But in chapter 7, we're going to see the prophecy and fulfillment of the economic recovery. And so, verse 1, chapter 7, verse 1, then Elisha said, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. And that's what he's saying will happen. There will be a recovery from the famine that caused inflation. Verse 2. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God and said, Behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, Elisha said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shall not eat thereof. Talking to this one who questioned whether God could do what Elisha had prophesied. And we'll see this prophecy fulfilled in verse 19, verse 3. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate. And they said one to another, Why sit we here until we die? Now the lepers was outside the city gate because they were lepers. They couldn't come into the city. And they said one to another, If we sit here, we're going to die. Verse 4. If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we shall sit here, we shall die also. So one way or the other, we're going to die, unless there's divine intervention from the Lord. So they say, Now therefore come, and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die. Verse 5, and they rose up in the twilight to go unto the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. And so we're going to see how the Lord intervenes. For the Lord had made, verse 6, for the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host or a great army. And the Syrians said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. They say in verse 7, Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight. Now, twilight is just before dawn or just before nightfall. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and ran for their life. So the Lord had made them hear this sound, and the result was they left all their belongings and they ran from their tents. Verse 8. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent and did eat and drink, and carried then silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again and entered into another tent, and carried from there also, and went and hid it. Then the lepers said one to another, We do not well, we're not doing the right thing. This day is a good day. This day is the day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we stay till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's household. So, verse 10, so they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, We came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied, and the tents as they were. Verse 11. And he called the porters, and the watchmen called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. Verse 12, and the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now show you what the Syrians have done to us. When the lepers told the porters what was about to happen, the king didn't believe them, so he thinks that this is a trick that the Syrians are playing on them. He says, For they know that we be hungry. Therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city. This is what they're plotting to do. Verse 13. And one of the servants answered and said, Let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of Israel that are left in it. Behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. There will act as an embassy for us to see what's going on. And so they say, and let us send and see. Verse 14, they took therefore 2 chariot horses, and the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, Go and see. Verse 15. And they went after them unto Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king. Verse 16. And the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrians. So, this is the 16th miracle through Elisha. So, a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord that Elisha told the king in verse 1. And again, this is the 16th miracle from Elisha. Verse 17. And the king appointed the Lord, on whose hand he leaned, to have the charge of the gate, or the entrance into the city. And the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died. Elisha had told him, because you didn't believe God, you're gonna die. And so at this point, he died, as the man of God had said, who spake when the king came down to him. And that was said in verse 2 of this chapter. And this is the 17th miracle that Elisha performed. Verse 18. And it came to pass, as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. Verse 19. And that Lord answered the man of God and said, Now, behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And Elisha said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell upon him, for the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died. So we see the economic recovery, just as Elisha had said. And also the Lord on whom the king leaned died as a result of unbelief, as prophesied by Elisha to him in the earlier part of the chapter, that is verse 2. So, thank the Lord for another lesson. We'll continue next time according to God's will, or if the Lord wills. So you all have a great day and a great week. Bye.